Hey guys, what's going on? BMcG here. Today we're here to talk about Overseer, my favorite champion in the game, but trying to put my bias aside, I do think he's one of the best aging champions out there, and he's just becoming more and more useful. But if at any point you enjoyed this video, consider hitting like and subscribing. Let's get into these fights. Alright, so we're starting off on the CCP beta test maps. And I just want to remind you guys that I'm not going to commentate over like the fight exactly. I'm going to kind of like narrate as we go along, but I kind of want the main focus of the video to be why I think Overseer is aging extremely well. And there's a reason why I started here with Nico. Nico, when she starts the fight, she places that passive buff immunity on you. And if you trigger a buff, she places a poison. Overseer is not only immune to poison, he ramps when the opponent tries to inflict poison on him. So against Nico here, you actually want that buff immunity to be on you, and it ramps you, and it gives you more damage, it gives you larger fury, and she becomes extremely easy to fight. And the only thing that you have to worry about is just not baiting the special 2, but for a battleground scenario, you could stun lock and use the striker and then special 1s, and yeah, he's great for her. Next up, we've got this Absorbing Man here, and Overseer again is one of those great counters to Absorbing Man. If you go for the special 3 with Overseer, you have a large physical vulnerability that you place that can allow you to chew through the Uru mode, or the Uru form that he goes into, but ideally you want to push him to Magma mode and deal with that. So yeah, Overseer is great for Absorbing Man because the issue with Absorbing Man is allowing him to cycle his specials, ramp up his morph charges, get that regen going. Where Overseer, once you're ramped and once you line things up to where you're ready to start dealing damage, you can ensure that he's in a good mode, like the Magma mode or no mode here, and you'll be able to stun lock to close out the fight. You can go in, 5-hit combo into a striker, 5-hit combo into a special 1. If they're not dead, you can go for another special 1 into another 5-hit combo. That's like an extra 100,000 health. He's one of those champions that because his loop works out the way it does, as long as you have like a 6-star relic on him, you can punch up extremely well, meaning you could use a rank 3 Overseer against rank 4 defenders, and it'll be a little bit slower, but you're still going to have that control of the stun lock because it's guaranteed pretty much. Once you're set up, if you go for the special 2, get the Energize, you'll be able to cycle special 1s more, and if you have the striker banked ready for this, you could just do 5-hit combo, special 1, 5-hit combo, striker, 5-hit combo, special 1, and then another 5-hit combo. That's a lot of damage, even as a rank 3 character. And the awesome thing is that you're stunning, and then you have the striker opening, or the stun, striker stun, and then you have your other stun. There's nothing the opponent can really do in that scenario to stop you there. And it's pretty awesome. I mean, Overseer loves to inflict his debuffs, so if they're stun immune, yeah, you're gonna have some issues doing that loop. So while admittedly he's not the best Enchantress counter, he can work decently well. But I want to highlight Solvark here in particular. Solvark, not only annoying because of the whole energy damage reflection thing, how it ramps him and then he reflects it back to his opponent, the Energizes are also extremely annoying. And then once he gets to 2 bars of power, you could either have to deal with the special 1 or the special 2, and it's just really annoying. But in Overseer's base kit, the only way for him to gain gamma power is when the opponent gains bars of power. So each bar of power they gain, you gain 1 gamma power. With the Awaken ability, you can expand upon that, but it doesn't matter for the Solvark match. For Solvark, these Energizes that he's gaining more power more frequently, which leads to us gaining more gamma power more frequently, and now we're pretty much fully ramped as we finish this dude off. Solvark, obviously, he's great against energy damage, but Overseer does physical damage. So there we go. And now we could stun lock. We could go 5-hit combo. And then there's all that range that I was talking about where the special 1 and the striker are there, where you just keep going with your combo. Back on the topic here with Energize, Overseer is not the fastest counter to Deathless Thanos, but he's extremely safe. I've sent Overseer to Deathless Thanos in War on like various node sets. The biggest one in particular is node 44 with Hazard Shift and I think it's Rupture and Poison, so you're immune to the poison but not to the Rupture. And there's also stun immunity. I touched on it a little bit earlier where stun immunity can hinder Overseer, but he's not like beholden to his stun. he doesn't need to stun. Yes, it makes things a lot easier, but against Thanos in particular here, if you're going just full gung-ho and hitting this dude as much as possible, he's going to go unstoppable and then smack you. Overseer, though, you can minimize your hits and punish specials and heavies. It's easier to do against Thanos here because he's got that Energize. You could punish the special 1 a lot easier. But I've sent this dude to like the stun immunity nodes, and you deal a lot of damage just punishing special attacks, and it allows for him to be extremely flexible in how he can do damage and what kind of matches he can take. Like, you wouldn't think he's great for Thanos here, but it works. Like, we're dealing really solid bursts on our heavy attacks when we punish his special. It just works. It wasn't super fast, so I wouldn't do it in Battlegrounds, but it's still pretty cool. He's also great for Arnim Zola, but we're not going to show that in this video. I've done other videos on that if you want to watch it. But next up, we've got Imperiosa. Overseer's like sneaky good for Imperiosa because Imperiosa starts the fight with 2 bars of power, so you don't gain the gamma power from that, but Imperiosa drains their own power if they're not being struck. So what you can do is like keep pushing them below and then above and then below and above that 2-bar threshold, max ramp to 6 gamma, and now you can stun lock. So bait the heavy attack there. Now you can go for a striker, I believe, or a special 1. Really just doesn't matter what you want to do. And then now you go for, 5-hit combo into striker, 5-hit combo into special 1 if she wasn't already dead. So yeah, that was one of the faster fights, and Imperiosa is supposed to be one of the like new tough defenders. So that's like one really cool thing that Overseer can do is like if the opponent messes with their power in any way where like they can like lower it and then gain it in weird ways, it kind of like ramps him. And here's another great example of, a new cosmic character coming out with, a little bit of defensive prowess, right? Hulkling is coming out as a 7-star in Banquet, and Hulkling on defense without a counter is just a really annoying stall defender. And Overseer is really good for Hulkling, and you might not, understand why. I'm going to explain it. When you strike Hulkling, he gains a buff, and when he gains a buff, he gains power. So he's gaining more power than normal. Also, Overseer has special concussions, and then we just inflicted that Disorient from the special 2. Disorient reduces defensive ability accuracy while you're striking the opponent, so you don't have to worry about the regen, don't have to worry about being indestructible, and yeah, you just turn off the buffs, and that's pretty huge for a science champion. And then back onto the ability accuracy reduction point, we're going against Kindred here. Kindred, in my opinion, one of the sneakiest, like, easy but hard defenders. If you screw up once, the fight goes sideways. And Overseer, with the defensive ability accuracy reduction from the Disorient, you can really handle Kindred extremely well. So we get to 18 infestation charges, and now we're just going to go for a special 2. Gamma power is at 4, so the Disorient's not like max potency, it's like 70-ish%. But we're pretty much shutting down this fight now. So we could just do 5-hit combo into a special 1, and there we go. The Disorient failed some of the stuff, and it was a super simple, easy fight. So moving on to some of the mutants now, we've got Onslaught. So Overseer, if you learn how to do the special 1 punish, great for Onslaught because you're dealing that retaliation damage. So it's 3 dexes, dash in, dash back, dash in, and then you can get the punish and get that retaliation, and that's a massive increase in damage that you're doing throughout the fight. Onslaught has negative physical resistance, so you're going to deal more damage than you normally would here. And that is another thing that I did want to touch on with Overseer, is that he doesn't deal damage over time through debuffs. It's just like the instant bursts of physical damage. So no one's really immune to it. And even if they are resistant to it, you could put the Hulk Battlecast relic on Overseer. It's one of the best pairings for that relic, specifically. Overseer is a defensive tank. He synergizes with that tag in the relic itself. The Striker puts that physical vulnerability on, but the Sig also has those really juicy passive physical vulnerabilities, so it's just huge for him. It allows you to chew through physical resistance and turn it into the negatives. But now we're getting into the synergy portion of the video, and I know some people are probably going to be like, why are you showing me synergies? I only care about Battlegrounds. And this is one of the really valuable things with Overseer, in my opinion, is that in Alliance War settings or questing settings, if there are annoying nodes or if a character you're fighting has annoying abilities, you could just bring a synergy for them. Perfect case here, Jean Grey. She reverses your controls. I know a lot of people hate reverse controls. Well, Overseer has a synergy in his base kit. It's with Hulk, Hulk Ragnarok, Joe Fixit. I think there's one more Hulk, it might be Immortal Hulk. And it just makes all those characters in that synergy team immune to reverse controls. You still get inflicted with the Delirium, or Delirious, or whatever it is. It doesn't do anything other than like reduce combat power rate, I think. But there you go, your controls aren't reversed. There's no inconsistency going on in this fight at all. And it's actually huge for Overseer because the special concussions can turn off the Delirium when it says it's going to come on, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, with that synergy, you can go against Onslaught Beta Special 2 or go against Jean Grey and not have to worry about it. Next up, we've got Hyperion here, and we are bringing the Destroyer synergy. That allows us to get rid of the crazy cooldown on the taunt. So normally it has a 20-second cooldown, and the taunt debuff is 10 seconds. So you can have it up for only half the fight. But now once the taunt debuff ends with that Destroyer synergy, you could just re-inflict it. The cooldown's 10 seconds, the debuff lasts 10 seconds, and now you never really have to worry about any opponent, you know, gaining all kinds of power and going to the special 3 because the taunt, it's on the heavy attack. When you launch the heavy to place it, the opponent becomes more aggressive after being knocked down. So yeah, it's just chef's kiss. It's great. So next up, we've got two synergies here against Destroyer. The first one is with Pavitra. Once the opponent's above 2 bars of power, you place a 65% withered debuff on the opponent, really halting their power gain. That's useful against someone like Destroyer. And Lizard synergy, that gives you a steadfast passive once you hit 3 gamma power, and it's only against Mystic champions, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's still useful for like certain Alliance War situations. But here, we're gonna bait special 1s from Destroyer. He's gonna gain that massive power gain, and now once he gets to special 2, the power gain's really halted. And hey, if you're not good at dexing the special 2, or there's any unblockable that you don't want to deal with, you now have that steadfast against Mystic champions from the Lizard synergy. Another cool thing that I wanted to touch on in this Destroyer fight is that with Overseer, he does rely on buffs to deal, you know, max damage, but each gamma power is basically a fury in itself because it gives you increased attack rating. So you can play this fight almost as if you're like buff immune. You know, like you don't want to gain buffs, so you're not going to. You could, you know, just block the special 2 with the Lizard synergy, and Destroyer won't deal that massive physical damage when you have the buffs on you when you strike him. Really cool there. Now, Overseer synergy with Spider-Man Supreme, it allows you to just go flat out immune to Neutralize, and we haven't really seen Neutralize as a defensive mechanic in a while. I think Rintrah really was the last character with it, but we saw Wiccan where if you parry him, he inflicts the Neutralize debuff, and then when you like fail a buff, Incinerates get inflicted, and then Rintrah, when you strike Rintrah, he inflicts the Neutralize. It's passive, and it ramps him up, and then he does annoying defensive things. We haven't really seen that as much, but we have seen it shift into some nodes on Alliance War. So that synergy with Spider-Man Supreme, just bring him on the team, and you become flat out immune to Neutralize. Against Rintrah here, it turns him into like a absolute nothing fight. There is nothing he can do to you because his Mystic Charges stay at 0, and pretty much all of his abilities are kind of tied to that Mystical Charges counter. So really cool there. And last thing I wanted to show off, full synergy team here against a Necropolis fight, along with boosts, and then we've got, you know, like I said, the synergy team, but the Hulk relic here kind of allows Overseer to become a ramp up champion. Like, yeah, he's still good for long form content because you could do the special 3 loop, get the physical vulnerability, get to 6 gamma power, but the Hulk relic, you have those physical vulnerabilities from the SIG, and I think the potency is increased by 50% if you're a defensive tank. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you guys love to do that in the comments, but essentially what I'm saying is every time you trigger that physical vulnerability, there's a max stack of 10, and you kind of trigger them slowly through the fight. So in Battlegrounds, it's not going to make the biggest deal if you get those physical vulnerabilities. So you've got the one from the special 3, you've got the one from the Striker, and then every time you stun the opponent with a non-parry stun, which is the special 1 here with Overseer, you'll inflict that physical vulnerability. You also get it when you gain a regen, which is really cool with Overseer, because you gain them, I think, in like 5 special 1s when you're in Cosmic mode. And these allow Overseer's damage to just scale so well. And you don't need the synergies to do this. So the reason why I'm showing this is Coliseum Overseer might be a sneaky, decent option. He doesn't have like the crazy ramp up like Crossbones, but he can get up there, I think, and like do some pretty decent stuff. I want to test him out when like there's a fight that makes sense. I kind of wanted to do it against Adam Warlock because I think he could have been pretty decent there, but the increased combat power rate that they gain when you strike them as you take down more health bars, it's very conductive with Overseer's like base kit and the gamma power and how that works. They're going to be throwing specials a lot more, so like I said, the retaliation damage, that's going to be your bread and butter. You know, Sig 200 Overseer, you want to punish specials and heavies, so the more specials they throw, the better. And I think he might be a sneaky decent option for some Coliseum fights going forward. I don't know what's coming out, so you know, only time will tell, but we saw like She-Hulk just absolutely destroyed Adam Warlock. I think I've seen like people consistently get 20 health bar clears with She-Hulk, and she can scale kind of infinitely. Like there's no like good fight that she has that infinite runway that she'll like hit her cap, so she essentially ramps infinitely. But Overseer can ramp more than like most champions can with that Hulk relic, and I really am excited to see what he can do when we get into like some Coliseum fights that make sense. So yeah, I do think Overseer has aged extremely well. I want to know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'll give you guys a little hint on the next installment of the Resurgence series on like who the character is going to be. Character's a little strange, but yeah, that should be a good enough hint to like get you guys going and guessing on who it might be. It might be a little too on the nose, but we'll see. But yeah, like I said before in the previous video with Shang-Chi, please comment down below who you guys want me to visit. And I just want to reiterate that the series is kind of like, I want to show characters who are becoming useful in the meta, not characters that are just generally underrated. I saw in the first like video that people were saying that like, oh, Punisher 2099 is, you know, he's having a resurgence. And I don't know if I agree with that, because he is generally good, he's generally underrated, but there's nothing currently going on in the game that makes me reach for Punisher 2099, if that makes sense. Whereas Shang-Chi, the introduction of more evade champions and unstoppable champions, that makes his slow become so much more useful. Overseer becoming a good option to Nico, and then Thanos, and then Arnim Zola, and then Kindred, and then Hulkling, and it's all just like working out to where like he can fit back into a Battlegrounds deck and like be a decent attacking option, especially if the meta boosts him. That's kind of what I mean with this Resurgence series, where like the character, they fit kind of back into the meta. So use that like frame of thinking to give suggestions in the comments down below. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Please let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys for the next video or stream. Peace out.